mixing lipstick. Anyway, hi, I'm Claire. This is my first vlog, so be kind. I've been living in Malaysia now for 6 months, and I thought it was time I talked about it in a kind of expat, I hate that word, living in a different country kind of way. So it's been an interesting 6 months, and I feel like I've started to really settle in. The place that I live feels as much like a home as the place that I so wonderfully called home in the UK. And I think it does take that time to settle in. I don't think you can just imagine it's gonna be okay within a few weeks, because you don't really know the place, you don't have any friends here usually, and that's been quite difficult. And the things that obviously I've missed the most have been friends and family, and that's been interesting because of the time difference mainly. So we're 7 hours ahead at the moment, but in a few weeks the UK will put their clocks back, so it'll be 8 hours, which make it even harder. So it tends to be just weekends that you can catch up with people, and you often are in a WhatsApp thread with people who are talking about lots of stuff, and you'll get 10 messages and what you want to say is like already been covered and moved on from. So that can be really interesting about living on the other side of the world to the people that you care about. But then when you do see them, it's wonderful, and it feels special, and you realise just how much they mean to you. So it does help you to prioritise and understand what's important in life, I think. So my intention for this post was to do 5 things I love and 5 things I don't love, because I don't want to say hate, because there's nothing I really hate about Malaysia. So the 5 things I love, I've had to make a list because I can't remember them off the top of my head. The food. Oh, the food. It's just insane, and everyone says that about Malaysia. Oh, the food, and you're like, yeah, the food. But then you live here and you just can't get over the variety. I find it really difficult to choose where to eat. I find it really difficult and quite overwhelming sometimes of what cuisine I want, never mind what restaurant I want to go to. Tend to favour Indian over most, just because the variety is so good. And by eating so much Indian food while I've lived here, it has actually changed my mind on food, and I've become, I don't want to say vegetarian because I don't really like labels, but I've started to eat more plant-based foods, and that's been really good for me in lots of ways. I've struggled with digestion for many years, and I think taking that plant-based lifestyle has actually really helped with that, so that's really nice. But back to the food. Went to Penang a few months ago, and wow, amazing. So much choice, and there's so many national dishes, which I think is really interesting. And these national dishes are sacrament. You know, you don't say anything bad about nasi lemak, for instance, and everybody adores teh tarik, which I think is really wonderful. I love teh tarik, and I totally get it. I remember thinking, sweet hot tea with like condensed milk, ooh, that's gonna be horrible. It's delicious. Durian, still not braved it. I don't mind the smell as much as I used to. I'm getting used to it, but I can't really understand the appeal. And it's really expensive for what it is. It's fruit, and people will probably be going talking bad about durian, but yeah, I've not tried it yet, but I want to. I'm not against trying it, I just haven't had the opportunity to yet. What else do I love? What other food? Oh, kway chow is amazing. Dim sum, oh, dim sum. See, when I was in the UK, never really had dim sum, never really appreciated it, but living here, oh, I love dim sum so much. And there are lots of different places to go. Even found a vegetarian dim sum restaurant, which is amazing. What else is really good here? Oh, forgot about laksa. So there's a whole culture called Nyonya food, Nyonya culture, and Nyonya laksa, absolutely spectacular. It is the cure of all ails, in my opinion. There's a place nearby that I go to quite frequently, and they do fantastic laksa, fantastic pate, which is top hats, really crispy pastry, with vegetables chopped up. Oh, amazing. And popier, which is also Malaysia's version of spring roll, but it's not fried. Delicious. So yes, I'd say that's probably my favourite cuisine after Indian, maybe tying for, which is quite good because it's national food. So yeah, that's food. There's so much more to be said about food. Curry puffs. IKEA do this thing called a curry puff now. It's a Malaysian thing, so it's not IKEA's thing. But the fact that they do a curry puff is pretty crazy in my mind. Unfortunately, they're always chicken. But I have found somewhere that does vegetarian ones, which is amazing. Okay, next thing I love. It's warm every day, which to me is quite a big deal. I love the sunshine and the warmth, and they were the things that I didn't love about the UK. That it rained a lot, that it was cold, that it was grey. It used to really kind of sometimes bring me down. But being here, it's really hard to be down because it's always beautiful, it's always sunny, it's always bright. Even if it's grey, it's bright. And then we have these fantastic storms, probably at the moment averaging once every 2 days, where everything goes black and the rain just falls out of the sky and it's really dramatic, and there's lightning in the sun. They're just epic to watch, and with that brings coolness, and that is so wonderful because it can get very hot here. Number 3, lifestyle. Wow, the lifestyle's really different here, and that was kind of one of the reasons for wanting to change what we were doing in the UK and come and try living here for a while. I remember coming here about 5 years ago and really loving the country, thinking it was just amazing, and being desperate to make it happen, to come home, to come back here, and see, I just called it home. That's really weird, isn't it? 6 months in. Yeah, really wanting it to happen. But mainly because the lifestyle is just so different. People don't live like we do in the UK. They don't live that kind of stereotypical 9-to-5 lifestyle, and everything revolves around that. People's lives revolve around living here, and that's quite, generalistic, because I'm sure that's not the case for everybody. But people are out every night of the week, and they're having coffee because it's not a place where everyone drinks, and they're meeting up with friends and they're socialising, and it's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and there are things happening on the street. There are people doing performances, there are hundreds of people watching, there are people still in shopping centres, and it's a very different lifestyle. It's focused around people enjoying themselves, people living their lives, and it isn't so much consumerism. Yes, that exists, and wow, the shopping centres are on mass scale and impressive like you wouldn't believe, and money gets spent, and the gap between rich and poor is quite large here. But on the whole, it seems that people genuinely care about living and enjoying life more than what they own and what they have, which I really kind of love. Yeah, that really intrigues me. And generally, you talk to people who work here, and we know somebody who drives, is a taxi driver, and will sleep when he gets a chance and work when he gets a chance. And it isn't that, well, I sleep between this time and I sleep for this amount of time. It's very much well, when it happens, and that's great. And I kind of really respect that. It's not being so rigid, and I think that's what I've always struggled with, how rigid life can be and how structured. Yes, I need structure. Wow, everyone needs structure. But at the same time, it can be too suffocating for me. So I kind of love that. Okay, next thing. It's a biggie. Travel. The islands, the jungle, the beaches here. Wow. It's just stunning. And if you don't know anything about Malaysia, you should come. It's beautiful. It's got some of the most stunning beaches I've ever experienced. Going to Borneo, going to Bako Park was just wow. Langkawi's beautiful, Langtenga, Perhentian. I really want to go to Redang. Yeah, just wow. It's just beautiful here, really beautiful. And the jungle is just stunning. So much wildlife and beauty. Well worth coming to. And finally, another biggie is the people and the culture. Culture here is just so intertwined with everything, and it's so beautiful and harmonious. And yeah, there are issues, political issues, and some tensions between different ethnic groups, but on the whole, everybody gets on so well, and everyone seems to just make it work, and people seamlessly get on, and there's no outward, you know, racism that I've been aware of, and people are warm and friendly and happy and genuinely interested in you, so much so they can be a bit starey, which I see as non-threatening, and just interest. But yeah, the people really are quite special, really lovely people, and it's really hard to put into words. Okay, so I said to try and do things that I don't love, and there are a few, but they're not major, and I found this one hard. The loves I could have gone on for ages, which is a true sign that I'm just starting to settle in here. But my first one's humidity. So with the heat comes humidity, and with humidity comes hair problems, which is quite vain, obviously, but I've not been able to do anything with it for 6 months, which is quite frustrating, but hey, doesn't matter. It's just another way of living. And it's obviously quite hot when it's humid. It's quite sticky, which is quite difficult. Traffic can be, wow, interesting. Friday, it's not really worth traveling anyway because it's just so busy on the roads. It can take double the time to get anywhere. I remember getting in a cab on a Friday night at 5:30 and had a reservation for 6:30, so an hour, which is, you know, more than enough time. And we had to put it back to 7:15 because we were that long in traffic. So yeah, the traffic's quite something, and it's not always bad, you know, you can go at certain times and it's absolutely fine, but I tend to use public transport quite a lot, because we don't have a car, and I would drive here actually because I don't find the traffic as intimidating as I did when I first moved here. I remember first getting here and thinking, wow, everyone just pulls out, nobody really indicates. It's, you know, if I can get my car in, I can have that space. It's so different to the UK, unbelievably different to the UK. But as I've got used to it, I actually quite like it. Nobody gets angry, there's no stress, nobody's beeping horns, everybody just allows people to do that, and it works. And I think I read somewhere it's like a dance, like a really elegant dance, and I kind of agree. I think that's a really good way to put it. So yeah, traffic. Which leads into public transport, which I've already mentioned, which is very good, and I'm not going to say it's not good because it is. It's ridiculously cheap and it's quick, but it's limited. So you can get to certain places, but you have to do lots of changing and sometimes a lot of waiting. But it is an amazing system, but it can be a little bit frustrating. I've recently discovered the bus, which is amazing, and an app called Move It, which is fantastic. You literally put where you want to go and it tells you how to get there on public transport. So I would highly recommend that. If you're going anywhere in the world, it works. And then finally, I could only come up with 4. I'm sure if I thought much longer, I could have thought of another one, but the aircon. Okay, so it's hot and it's humid, so you need the aircon, but the aircon's quite oppressive. It's quite dry, obviously, so we don't have it on a lot at home, and we've got one of those steamer things to kind of help with that. But you go to the cinema, for instance, and you need a blanket and a jumper and a pair of socks because it's so cold. The aircon's too cold, and it's the same everywhere. It's too cold, and it's really hard, I understand, to get the balance because some people are hot, some people are cold. But when you're walking into a cinema and you're really, 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 really cold and you need a blanket and socks and a pullover to make yourself comfortable, not warm, comfortable, then it's probably a bit extreme. So yeah, Malaysia. It's a really great place, and I'm really starting to enjoy it and feel like it's home. And we've got about 7 months left until we have to return to the UK. And I've got to say, I've started thinking about what I'm going to miss, which is really weird. So yeah, really like Malaysia.